Hello, and thank you for joining me of week 2 of College Football and Chill. I'm Willie Matthews, and welcome back. If you watched the first episode, but hopefully you did, and you've noticed some improvements in hopefully the video quality. We have finally figured out how to shoot in 1080p here and 60 frames per second, so hopefully that will make this look better. And we've also we've changed around, we've changed the way we sit, and hopefully this will make a more appealing show to watch. Here at College Football and Chill, our main focus is to present college football to you in a way that is different, unique, and overall entertaining. I want the show to be relaxing and overall a more welcoming experience for anybody interested in anything football. I want this show to be comfy. I want you to be able to put this on the background and you do another task or go about your day, and this is just on the background. I don't want this to be too uptight or attention draining, but at the same time I do want to make an interesting show that has substance to it. And this is only week 2 of this. As you can see, if you go back to the first episode, we're always improving here. We're going to be getting better audio quality. We are going to be getting better picture quality, and overall a better quality of the substance we are providing to you. So if you're new here, please, and I mean please, hit the subscribe button, because we're going to be doing this weekly. Every single week, hopefully Sunday, or in this case it is Monday. We are still a bit behind in getting these out. We're learning. So this one will be coming out Monday morning instead of Sunday morning. But that's just the way this is right now. But we are very determined not to miss a single week and to get these out to you as fast as we can. So please join us every single week. Subscribe, hit the bell notification for when the episodes do go up. They should be going up Sunday morning, hopefully, from now on. But like I said, we're only going to be getting better from here. But with that being said, welcome to week 2, or a week 2 recap. I know we're technically in week 3 now, but this is a week 2 recap, so we're going to call it week 2. We have quite a bit to discuss in week 2. So with that being said, thank you for joining me, and let's get right into this week of college football. Personally, my favorite thing about watching college football is watching who emerges onto the next level of football, especially at the quarterback level. We saw a lot, I wouldn't say great quarterback play, but we saw a lot of quarterbacks emerge this weekend. And I'm wanting to go over, I have a list of about 15 here that I want to go over, and some of them improved in a good way, some of them regressed, and they're pretty much the names that I'm going to be looking at this season. It's not a comprehensive list of all of them that I'm going to be looking at, but at least in what showed me in week 2. The first one that I have to go over is, well, really the game anyways, is Alabama versus Texas. I heard people before this game either saying that Texas was going to lose by 20, or they had a slight possibility of an upset, which that almost happened. Alabama just won this 20-19. For this, the reason why I wanted to watch this game was pretty much because of Quinn Ewers and Bryce Young. Quinn Ewers, I wanted to see a true freshman and see what he could do on his first big start. However, I only got to see him for about half the game because he got hit and had a shoulder injury, which more than likely he's going to be out for some time with that. The worst thing is whenever you have especially such a young player, and they get an injury and they're just out for maybe half of a season or the rest of the season. But I mean, he could be in next game, he could be out the entire rest of the season. What I get from it is that it's probably at least going to be a few games. Which, yeah, I was really hoping to see a great quarterback battle in this game. However, that didn't really happen. Just super bummed that Quentin Ewers is probably going to be out for a while this season. I was really excited on getting to see him play and evolve as quarterback. Bryce Young, on the other hand, was pretty much, he didn't play a horrible game. He was pretty consistent throughout that entire rest of the game. What really killed Alabama was that they couldn't get anything running. At the fourth quarter, on the very last drive, when they need 3 points, they at least need a kick. They don't need a touchdown. They need 3 points. He needs to be the guy to step up. He can go in there. He can get the job done pretty much by himself. And when it matters, he can perform. And he can win those games. But that final drive still shows why he is the level of quarterback he is. The next quarterback I'm going to talk about, and really about the entire game, is JT Daniels and West Virginia. I can right now go ahead and say that the best thing about at least that game, and probably the entire West Virginia football team, is that the best thing about it is JT Daniels. Even in his first game, while he made improvements in this game, in this next game, he kept improving. Man, I guess the big takeaway from this is that I still think West Virginia is a very good football team. Their last 2 games, it's been close. They were playing a different Kansas team than what Kansas has been in recent years. These last 2 years, they have consistently gotten better. Kansas has. I was hoping West Virginia had so many problems up front on defense. I think it was somewhere like the back end of the defense was leading in tackles than the front end of the defense. Kansas just rushed the ball down their throat the entire time. And the front end of the defense, they just couldn't stop it. They looked like the more physical, just larger team. Which leaves JT Daniels, in my opinion, the best quarterback without a win right now. I'm pretty sure. But the improvement that JT Daniels has made, I think since last year, is pretty good. He's pretty consistent. He has good yardage on both games he's played, and he is definitely a quarterback that I'm going to be watching for the rest of the season. So, West Virginia, as a whole, they've lost their first 2 games. They've lost to Pittsburgh, they've lost to Kansas. Their next 2 games is Towson and Virginia Tech, which are extremely winnable games. After Towson and after Virginia Tech, they have Texas, they have Baylor, which they're going to be huge underdogs in both of those games. So they've already played 2. They have 2 very winnable games, and then they have Texas and they have Baylor. That is half of the regular season. So West Virginia, at the midway point through the season, is more than likely going to be 2-4. That means that I think West Virginia will be the best team with only a 2-4 record at the middle of the season. You know, it doesn't really get better on throughout. They play Texas Tech, which that's not a gimme. They play TCU. That's not a gimme. They play Iowa State, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State. Their season ain't looking good. I could right now go ahead and say that if they lose the games that they need to get the upset in, and not even a large upset, we're only looking at 2 to 4 wins this season. And if they only win 2 to 4 games this season, they will be the best team with the worst record. They will have the best quarterback with the worst record. So yeah, that's West Virginia. Okay, so the quarterback that I'm going to go ahead and put as my Heisman dark horse, Austin Reed out of WKU. These last two games, I'm pretty sure he does lead in passing yards for 2 games. I'm pretty sure he does. I actually didn't get to watch these games. I was looking around on ESPN, pretty sure they didn't have them. I was also looking around on Fubo, pretty sure they didn't have them. So I just had to settle for highlights of this game. And it was mostly just Austin Reed throwing. It was pretty much all of the highlights of this game. He is definitely a quarterback that I'm going to be watching. I think everybody else should be watching this season. Sam Hartman came out his first game for Wake. I think Wake Forest is a real dark horse to win the ACC. They're looking pretty good. They haven't had too much in terms of strength of schedule with these first 2 games. I think Sam Hartman, watch him because I think he is a real contender for the Heisman. So another game, Arkansas versus South Carolina. I was not sure what to expect out of this game. I think I got about what I expected. Fairly high scoring, a 2-touchdown loss. I expected Arkansas to do what they did. They run the ball straight through South Carolina. And on top of that, their defense completely just outclassed their offensive line. And that's probably going to be for the rest of the year. You just can't fix an offensive line on a week-by-week basis. They just got physically dominated up front. They did. This is really the first game we got to really see Spencer Rattler see what he can do. And it's not bad. It's actually pretty good. He's still a extremely talented quarterback. And if you think that Spencer Rattler for a second is washed up, I really think you're wrong. Just as a quarterback, he still needs to improve. He's not as consistent as he needs to be. And that mostly is coming from he's getting rushed a lot. He's getting so much pressure in the pocket. Spencer Rattler will have looked quite a bit better if the South Carolina offensive line just didn't get pretty beat up that game. He was getting a lot of pressure on him. Probably had to make fast calls. He ended up making bad calls because of that. And overall, Spencer Rattler, I'm going to go ahead and say, is one of the better aspects of that team. I think he is another quarterback to just have your eye on. I don't think he's washed up in any means, and I still think he's a super talented quarterback. We finally got to see Bo Nix play to the level that I think Bo Nix is capable of. This is the game that showed me improvement. Bo Nix is just another quarterback I'm going to be watching. So yeah, keep your eye out on him. Tyler Van Dyke out of Miami is also another very real candidate for the Heisman. He's a good quarterback. He is. They're going to Texas A&M next week. I'm feeling quite a bit better about Miami than I am Texas A&M. Miami versus Texas A&M is probably going to be the game, the highlight game next week. Yeah, Tyler Van Dyke, a real Heisman candidate. Stetson Bennett for Georgia. Each game that he plays, they've only played 2 games, I know. But the improvement from last year to this year, it's like a 180. He's cool. He's confident. I saw Stetson Bennett this week just pop off. He pops off. He was showing a little bit of speed. I saw him take off the ball. A little burst. Speed there. He's extending plays. He's just not in the pocket. He's moving around. He's extending plays. I think he's gotten bigger. He just looks bigger, like he's put on like 10 pounds of muscle on the off season. Yeah. Last year, I wouldn't have said that Stetson Bennett is starting NFL material. He's not. Last year, I would have said that. This year, though, there is so much improvement to his game, and I know it's only week 2. However, he is right now looking like he doesn't look under 3rd round. He doesn't. But yeah, in here, Stetson Bennett is probably personally my favorite player. I just liked his story, and the overall improvement that he has made, that I think he's made in these last 2 games, is evident. But yeah, I'm going to keep watching him, and who knows where he could go. Okay, so the last quarterbacks, and pretty much the game I'm going to be talking about, is Kentucky versus Florida, of course. But all bias aside, I don't want to show bias in any of these games. Of course, at some point I'll probably change this. When I was setting all of this up, I thought about taking down all of my Kentucky stuff, just because I kind of just don't want to show bias. But I don't have too much to show off, so to have an interesting background, I'm going to keep it up there, okay? I want to start off by saying the Kentucky is the better team. I was also in shock at what primarily just Anthony Richardson did to Utah. But what that shows me, going from the Utah game to the Kentucky game for Florida, is that Florida is a extremely volatile team. And that isn't bad. What that means is that they are extremely young. And I think I want to stress this for Florida fans. They are a super young team and staff right now. If you think that what they did against Utah was a fluke, it's not. They just have to channel that to be more consistent when they get in the games. That's it. You just got to give them time. Anthony Richardson is still an extremely talented quarterback. And by the way, Anthony Richardson, this should have not been his 3rd start in college. It just shouldn't have been. He should have been starting the entire time last season. So, that is why right now, he's the way he is. It's just that the Billy Napier staff has to prove to a lot of Gator fans that they are capable of taking an extremely talented quarterback and not wasting him. They need to prove that they can take an extremely talented quarterback and turn him into what the current state of football needs. And that is a high, productive, extremely talented quarterback. Just give him time. I know, that's what everybody said about Dan Mullen, and look where Dan Mullen got you. However, Billy Napier is not Dan Mullen. I have pretty good faith in the Billy Napier era of Florida football. Will Levis, on the other hand, I think for the first time, he didn't have to make plays to win Kentucky that game, but his consistency pretty much proved to me that he is the level of quarterback that can go on and succeed on the next level. So yeah, I wasn't buying into the Will Levis hype as much as many other Kentucky fans was. I knew he was a good quarterback, and I knew that he would probably have a future in the NFL. But to what extent would that future be? He has shown improvement from last year, and his consistency to make plays has increased threefold from last season. Now, why Will Levis isn't the primary reason why they won that game. Really, the defense was. The SEC East is in some rarefied air right now. They have how many teams that are ranked? 4? When's the last time the SEC East has had 4 ranked teams? Like that's usually the SEC West. I think there's 8 SEC teams that are ranked right now. 4 is out of the West, 4 is out of the East. And now while the SEC East is still the lesser of the two, on the bottom end, they are. I mean, I still think that South Carolina is a good football team. I still think that. It's just that compared to the rest of it, I think everybody, maybe other than Missouri, no offense to Missouri fans, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Missouri is probably at the very bottom of the SEC East this year. Vanderbilt still put up 20 points against Wake Forest. That's the bottom. That's the bottom. Usually when you're at the bottom of a Power 5 conference, you're not putting up 20 points against a ranked team. Any ranked team. I don't care who you are. At the bottom. But I don't think they're at the bottom. I think that Missouri this year is going to probably be at the bottom of the SEC East. That's how much the landscape has changed. I mean, the SEC East is just fun. There's going to be so many fun games. The Kentucky-Florida game, that was just fun to watch. Kentucky-Tennessee is going to be fun to watch. South Carolina-Tennessee is still going to be fun to watch. South Carolina-Florida, South Carolina-Kentucky, those still could be fun games. I mean, as of right now, I am still not sure. I'm still going to put more stock in the Kentucky over Tennessee. Tennessee against Pittsburgh, they had holes. They don't look like a more solid, cohesive unit as Kentucky does right now. But I think they have 2-3 more games before Tennessee and Kentucky. I think 3 more. I think Kentucky plays Youngstown, Northern Illinois, and then Ole Miss, and then maybe South Carolina before that. But like I said, a lot could change between then. Tennessee could look like a very different team than what they do right now, which they still look like a very good team. They still deserve to be ranked. I think in the AP poll, Tennessee is still underranked. I think they should be higher. And don't leave South Carolina out of this too. Yeah, they have a lot of problems with their offensive line. And those offensive line problems aren't easy problems to fix. They're probably the hardest problem to fix. If Spencer Rattler can evolve into the type of quarterback that can get past a lot of offensive line problems, which is still pretty hard to do. I mean, you're looking at upsets. You know, South Carolina could get an upset somewhere down the road. I'm still going to put them over Vanderbilt and Missouri. While I do feel like Georgia is the obviously superior team, there could still be a real battle for the East. And I'm just not talking about for second, third, and fourth for the East. I'm talking about first for the East. And we're looking at, you know, Kentucky and Tennessee. They haven't been relevant for quite a while. Especially Kentucky. I mean, Lord, you can't remember a time. I think there's upsets in the cards for Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, and Kentucky. And don't leave Georgia out of that for those upsets. So, the East is overall just a much more competitive place. And that does go overall for the entire SEC. I mean, as much as people talk about the SEC, there is a good reason. They are extremely, especially this year, they are just extremely stacked. It's rarefied air. Enjoy it, because it's not gonna last. It's not gonna last. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I always want this to be a discussion. I want this to feel like a conversation between me and you. I want to put this camera down on my eye level, and I want this to feel like a conversation. So if you have any more to add to what I've said, or if you just don't agree with what I said, post down in the comments. I would love to have a discussion with you. And the way we're going to finish tonight's episode is, maybe I'll always do it like this. And what I might do, this might be the way that I wrap up each episode. I might give games that are probably going to be overlooked coming, or I will give games that might go overlooked as very possible upsets. And the first game for that is Texas Tech at NC State. Texas Tech beat Houston this week, 33-30, I think. So for this Texas Tech team to do that, a very real game to pay attention to this week is going to be Texas Tech, NC State. Very possible upset there. Another game to pay attention to is ranked 21 Texas versus UTSA. The Roadrunners, I'm not sure that they have a better team than what they do last year. I don't think they do than what they had last year. But week 1, UTSA barely lost to Houston. This week, they barely won to Army. So while I don't think that UTSA is the better team, I don't, I still think that an upset is in the cards for them. It's very likely. Especially with the current state of Quinn Ewers. You know, anything's up in the air for that game. Washington at Michigan State. 11 ranked Michigan State, I think. Washington State is actually favored to win in this game by a pretty small margin. I think it's like 2-3 points, something like that. While Washington hasn't really played anybody that is going to challenge them so far, this is their first big game. And they don't look bad. I think they put up, they won Kent State by, I think 25 points. And then they recently won against Portland State in a complete blowout. They are actually favored to win this game. So another very interesting game that I think might go overlooked. So one to pay attention to. But yeah, let me know if I've missed any noticeable quarterbacks. And I know that I have in here. It's just that I picked a random amount and I wanted to talk about them. What if a upset for Georgia is in the cards? Who is it going to be from the East? Let me know. And what other upsets have I missed from that could change the landscape of football next week? Or other noticeable large games that might go overlooked. And that is pretty much it for tonight. Thank you again for joining me. Please let this be a new part of your weekly routine after game day. I would be much appreciated. Here at, I guess the official name of this now is probably going to be Football and Chill. So, we are always getting better. We're going to keep improving quality. We're going to keep getting better at this. And we ain't going anywhere. We're doing this every week. We're going to keep getting a better setup. We're going to keep getting better audio, better video, and overall a better substance of what we are providing to you. Because the entire point of this show is not just to waste my time. It is to provide substance, be entertaining, and be unique. We want this to be a different college football experience. So if you do agree in that, in the overall vision that we have here, please, I really do would appreciate it if you did subscribe and like this video and comment. But yeah, I've always been a huge fan of especially college football, and it's just something that I've had in the back of my head for a while. But hey, we ain't going anywhere, so please consider subscribing. Thank you for joining me. I am Willie Matthews, and I hope that you will tune in next week to the third week recap of college football here at College Football and Chill. Bye.